Welcome back, everyone. This is our stability and balance class here, making sure I'm recording correctly. So we're gonna go ahead and start with some balance exercises here just on the mat, just standing. We'll transition to some chair stretches, and then we'll do some floor exercises as well. We'll do some of the more exercises that are going to stabilize our core, our posture a little bit more. So probably some upper body torso exercises. Okay, so let's go ahead, feet together right here, and we're going to look slowly left to right. Stretch out our neck while we're doing this. I just got back from a 5-mile run, and it was cooler than usual, well, than the afternoon, but it was a bit humid. Lots of people walking and riding their bikes. People are getting active. Up and down. Excuse me. Okay, let's close our eyes. Alright, let's open them. Okay, we're going to do some slow high knee marches. Okay, so slowly go up and slowly switch. I was watching last night, not sure if you folks have seen the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but I was watching that with the kids and they were loving it until they fell asleep because we started watching it a little bit later. But they're just loving all the start of the movie with all the chocolates and the candy. So that grabbed their attention real fast. That movie, yeah, it's filmed in 1971, I believe, so it's about 55 years. Wild. Okay, we're gonna do a little bit of stretching, so let's go ahead and grab our right ankle and pull it back. Hi, Josefina.
Good morning, Tulio.
Good morning. What time should I come by to pick up the tamales and tacos? Are they ready?
Ready to rumble.
Let's switch. It was nice to be done yesterday by 10. Kind of felt cooler. The day felt a little bit more relaxed. Got an extra hour. Let's go ahead and we're going to do our neck circles. So like I said, we'll transition from balance to stretching to some stability. So let's do some neck circles. Switch. We're gonna go wide, do a little bit of stretching on our inner hips and our lower back. So we're just gonna go and tap our opposite ankle here. So doing like a lateral lunge, at the same time reaching. So when you're reaching, there's a slight bend at the lower back. Oof. So I don't know about you all, but with your clothing or how long you hold your clothing for, but I usually wear my stuff until like it's either faded completely or there's like holes developing on shirts. We're gonna go ahead and do our single arm windmills. But anyways, about 2 years ago, about half of my shirts decided to all have a meeting and decided to all like rip at the same time. So I had to replace a lot of my shirts around the same time. And shorts, I usually replace them like when in reverse. I wear a lot of like workout shorts. So like when the lining around the waistband is loose or it just becomes uncomfortable, I usually toss those. Shorts don't last as much for me. But I've had some socks that I've had for close to like 10 years. And that switch. And usually like my cotton, 100% cotton socks, those will last, last few years. But I bought these when I used to work at this running shoe store. They had these pretty expensive it seemed at the time overpriced socks. So like one pair of socks would be like $12 or $15 reverse. So anyways, so when I was working there, I would buy some of those, and I just wore them so I could tell customers how they felt and this and that. So yeah. So anyways, I've had these socks for about 10 years. Let's do our trunk rotation. And some of these socks that I've had for 10 years, they're finally falling apart. And it's making me a little bit sad because now I know those socks, each pair costs like $20. But they're nice because they prevent blisters. So like I mentioned, I got a bad blister earlier this week. And since I got that blister, I've been wearing my blister-free socks. And my blister's been healing and not developing again. So, but yeah, long story short, all of my, like half of my socks right now are ready to retire. So I'm about to go on a sock shopping spree. Let's do our ab circles. So hinge at the hip. From here. Oh. Ramon, do you have any clothes that's like at least 20 years old? Or Wayne, maybe you?
25.
25, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Some jeans, maybe?
Good quality. Now it's too cheap, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. I do have, we're gonna do our big hula hoops. I do have a pair of shorts that they're in there. I know I have them because I wear them probably a few times a year when I come across them. But I have some shorts that I've owned since I think 2000, 2001, so about 25 years as well. And back then, I was in middle school and out there I went to Rivera Middle School off Parsons and what was that? I forget the street. But yeah, I was in 8th grade and I had these Dickies black shorts, and those are, I think that brand is usually Switch. They use them for a lot of uniforms, but uniforms for like work. But that was the style back then, and the style was also to wear really baggy clothes. So that's why they still fit me, because when I was 11 or 12, no, how old was I? Yeah, like 11 or 12, I wanted to look cool. We're gonna put our right foot in front of our left. I wanted to, look cool, so I wore these baggy shorts, and now they actually fit me because You know, I'm bigger now than what I was back then. So yeah, so I still have those shorts, and those are yeah like 25 or 26 years old. So, it's crazy. And then now the one thing I didn't used to wear when I was younger was hats, and now I have hats, a bunch of them. Probably have like 15 pairs, like 15 hats, and I just wear them until they get faded. But I never knew that they got faded, and I had some really nice hats that yeah I just had to retire because they started off really dark and black, and then now they're like brown, gray, and dirty. You're gonna look left to right. About 2 weeks ago, I lost my sandals that I've owned for about 15 years. So I don't know where those went. But they're leather sandals and very good quality. Up and down. Let's close our eyes. Alright, open your eyes. We're gonna elevate our back foot, so we're gonna do our flamingo stance here. So elevate that left foot. High knee drive. Back. We're gonna switch. So right foot now. Elevate it. Just hold it there. Alright, ready? And high knee drive. And back. Knee drive. Very good. Let's grab your dumbbells. We're going to do a little bit of core work. Let's grab those dumbbells. I just got an alert that the world record for the mile was broken. Hey, this guy from, I think he's from England, he just ran 3 minutes and 42 seconds for the mile. That's fast. Oof. Alright, we're gonna go ahead with the dumbbells on each hand, and we're gonna go dip on the left side. So don't think about leaning your head, think more of just putting your dumbbell down to your side. And as you're doing that, your other arm is lifting. So we're getting a nice stretch and working. So we're gonna do about 12 of these. Alright, now right side. Ready? Dip. little bit more on this side. I think my left lower back is a little tight. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and just rest the dumbbells on my shoulders here. So I'm just holding my dumbbells so they don't fall apart. But I'm just gonna do gentle trunk rotations right here. So just adding a little bit of stress. And these are a little bit slower, so just gently turn left to right. Sometimes we want to do these movements when there's some resistance or tension. Sometimes Julian, when it's time to give him a bath, he wants to get on my, around the couch, and he wants to, let's bring those down. He wants to go on my back to the bathtub. Let's go left foot in front of our right. So he hops on my back, and I could walk to the bathroom and back all the time with no problems, but there's times when he's on my back and I'm walking and my hips feel a little bit tighter, or my back, I have to, better posture. So yeah, so sometimes there's just things that you do typically with some resistance that you don't think about that could throw you off. Like it could be, taking groceries out of the car to the kitchen, and maybe you're carrying a heavy load and you're feeling fine when you're walking, but when you're raising that leg to like take a first step into your doorway or maybe a stair leading into your house, sometimes that's what causes imbalances. So just want to make sure we keep everything active. Left to right. Has anyone recently hurt themselves by doing like a simple movement and it caused a lot of pain? Up and down. All right, close your eyes. Open your eyes. All right, we're gonna do a little bit of some balance work here while also working on our ankles. So what I want you to do is elevate your right foot and do your ABCs. So gain some ankle mobility and then also some balance work. Let's switch. Very good. We're gonna go ahead and give our feet a little bit of rest. So let's go to the chair. Alrighty. Alright, so next we're gonna go ahead and just work on some shoulder mobility here. So let's put our hands on our shoulders and we're just gonna do circles in this motion here. Try to go deeper now. So instead of keeping those elbows narrow, try to go big circles. Okay, and then now in reverse, counterclockwise. And big circles. And relax, because I don't know about you, I got tired right here. If anyone else did, let me know. Let's go ahead and sit on our left hand. Work on that right hand over your head and bring that elbow to your side. Go ahead and switch. Sit on that right hand. Left hand goes over. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and reach up with our hands towards the ceiling. Excuse me. I'm gonna lean right. Let's go ahead and lean left. And relax those arms. Those arms could get tired. At least they do for me. Okay. We're gonna do trunk rotation here. So using our chair. So legs are facing forward. Left hand grabs the base of the chair. Right hand grabs the backrest and gently rotate your torso to the right side. Let's go left. So rotate left. Grab that base of the right chair. And rotate. Very good. A little bit of arm work here, so palms are facing the screen, and then we're just going to tap our opposite shoulder. So remember, we have 2 more weeks of our 6 days, of teaching the summer 6 days. So 2 more weeks of summer term. And then we have, I believe, a 2-week break, and then we start fall on August 17th. And fall will be, now let's flip your hands here, and then let's go up and down. And starting August 17th, we only meet Monday and Wednesday. Alright, we're going to go ahead and elbows at your side and go up and up, down. Let's go ahead and have our hand like this. So extended, fingers down, and let's push down on those fingers, stretching out the forearm a little bit. Push down. Switch. So left hand. This one's less flexible. Relax. Alright, we're going to do our Pallof strengthening movement here. So we're going to press our hands up against each other and we're going to push forward. You should feel tension on your chest. Push and then come back. And repeat. One more. Very good. Alright, we're going to go with our cat stretching post here. So sitting towards the front of the chair, separating your feet from each other. Reach up towards the ceiling. Keep that back straight. Reach, reach, reach. Come back. Alright, repeat. Again. Let's do two more. Again. Very good. Let's go ahead and get our left ankle on our right knee. Oof, that's tight. Anyone doing anything fun this weekend? Staying home?
Mirar la final, Julio.
Nada?
A mirar la final.
Oh, mañana. Sí.
¿A quién le vas?
No sé. Creo que maybe I don't know. I think I don't know. It used to be Argentina, but I don't know. It's just the let's push down. Something about them on this tournament. It's making me feel a certain way. And then Spain. I don't know. I've always gone. Besides growing up, I liked Italy, and then Germany. I started liking to Netherlands, but then the other European teams, I was like I don't really care much for the teams to do well, the other ones. So I'm going for the referee. I hope they don't get mad at me. Oh no, but did you hear about the referee? The referee that they chose for the World Cup game. Supposedly, he's a very he has some criminal history too. So right leg on that left ankle. So I'm not even rooting for the referee. I just want them to change the FIFA president. That's what I'm rooting for. So let's see. I remember for the longest time I was always against France, and that's because in 1998 they beat Brazil, and that was my team back in like the 90s and early 2000s, and ever since then. But I like Mbappe, and so gentle push down. I just hope it's a good game. You know, I don't want to see like lopsided calls or a boring game. If it goes to penalties, hopefully it's like 1-1 or 2-2, and then they go to penalties. Yes.
You remember when Pelé?
¿Cómo?
¿Te recuerdas cuando Pelé jugaba?
Oh, sí, como ayer, casi me recuerdo. No, Pelé jugó que en los 50, 60s, 70.
70.
Ya, no, apenitas creo que iba creciendo. Oh, no, Maradona ya estaba, era algo. Let's recline back, sit towards the front of the chair. Yeah, I didn't, when I was, watching it, I think it was 1994 was the first World Cup I remember. And that's when I liked, I started picking Brazil. Because they won that year, of course, so as a little 5-year-old kid, you see a team win, you want them to be your team. Which is funny, because it's like Julian right now, like, whoever he sees win, he's probably going to think that's like the best team ever, and that's how I felt about Brazil back in 1994. And yeah, I think, we'll see. Hopefully it's a good one. I have a lot of, not a lot, but I have a pair of friends. They're actually brothers, and they're both Mexican, but they won't root for Mexico. They've been rooting for Spain for the longest time. So I always like give them a hard time, and I always tell them I hope Spain loses. so that's my only thing against Spain. But I have my Spanish flag here. Whenever they go to Spain, they would go and they would bring me back a scarf or a flag with two heel raises. But yeah, that's just me being playful with them. Are you watching the kids today, Wayne? Are you resting? Toe raises, so feet flat and raise your toes?
No, actually, Teresa and I are down in Baja right now.
Oh, shoot. Where in Baja?
Just south of Rosarito.
Nice. Are you eating lobster?
Don't know yet.
Oh, get that fresh tortilla with beans and lobster. Oh. Yes. So, did you log in through Canvas? Did it allow you to log in?
Yeah.
Okay. Because one time I tried to teach from San Felipe, and there's like some security measure that wouldn't allow me to teach from there. So.
No, we had no problems getting in.
Okay. Good. You guys are there for the weekend?
Yeah, we'll be coming back home Tuesday.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Feet flat. and then you have your Trinity Alps trip in like 2 weeks.
First week of August.
First, okay. Did you hear about what happened out there a couple days ago?
No.
There is I think in a rural, so you have our feet flat and bring your toes towards your heels. So I guess two rangers got kidnapped by a father and a son.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that last night.
Yeah, and I guess yeah they had him kidnapped for about 12 hours. But I was reading up on that, and I was like, oh wow, like that's very brave and dumb on the kidnappers, you know, the rangers, and they wanted to talk to the FBI apparently. So feet flat, and then now pull your metatarsal pads towards your heels.
Well, they got their chance to do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, they definitely did. So they just you know, what I read just didn't go deeper into like what they wanted, but that's a good way to get the FBI's attention. To kidnap two rangers. So that whole area is so pretty. It's my college coach. He grew up in I don't know. No, what? You might be familiar. No, you said you went through like Clear Lake. So just north of Chico, there's Orland. I think it's called Orland. But it's just north of Chico. And then let's go ahead and just do toe taps right here. But anyways, he does, him and his wife, I believe every summer or every like it's every summer they'll go and do this amazing hike from like Mount Shasta through the Trinity Alps and then get picked up somewhere else up there. But it's like super rural, that area. But yeah, but they're out there all the time. That's probably where that kidnapped. And then heel raises, quick heel raises. And you said you're driving?
Yeah.
Very cool. Alright. And then lastly, let's just go ahead and we're going to do some leg swings or leg circles around the chair. So I'm just going to use this counter here. I'm going to support myself and then just going here and here. Teresa, do you help with the drive too, or do you play DJ and you're picking the music?
I sleep.
Nice.
No, not really.
Okay.
No, he doesn't let me drive his car.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, my wife.
He loves to drive.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way on those long trips. My wife wants to help, and I'm like, no, just. She sleeps a lot too on these trips, so I tell her to rest when she's tired, because I know about at hour 7 or 8 I'm gonna need a little 30-minute break or something. So, but usually we just stop in Kettleman City at that In-N-Out. So let's do our leg swing switch. Do you guys have like your typical rest stop or restaurant you stop on the way there?
Usually not on the way up, just on the way back.
Oh, where at?
Fort Tejon.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's like almost here.
Almost.
Yeah. Yeah, if I would go to Chico by myself, I usually would stop at every rest stop there because I'd be hydrating a lot, so I wouldn't feel bad about stopping and making the drive a little bit longer. But if I'm with people, I'm dehydrated on those trips because I usually need to go to the bathroom pretty often. So, but Kettleman City, In-N-Out's usually that one stop. But alright, so if you're coming back, I'll see you soon. And if you're not, then hopefully I'll see you on Monday. And then Wayne, Teresa, enjoy the rest of your trip out there, but I'm sure I'll see you as well. So, alright folks, I'll see you in a little bit if you're coming back at 9
We'll
o'clock.
see you in a little while.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks,
I'm gonna
bye.
go get breakfast.